About if you set your priorities right, God will somehow arrange everything else, you know. But the human side of me,
Hi there, my name is Adriel, and this is Teo-logy podcast. And today we have someone interesting, our first guest ever on this channel. Maybe I just let Philip you briefly introduce yourself, and then I'll tell you why we are having this episode today.
Adriel, thanks for having me. I think I'm just gonna put it out there. Number one fan for the Teo-logy podcast.
Thank you for the support.
Anyway, my name is Philip. I'm from Johor and currently serving in Holy Light Church. So a bit about myself. I am in the marketplace. I work as a salesperson. So that's a little bit about me.
How about you? Are you married?
Yeah, happily married with two young boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it feel to be from number one fan to a podcast guest show?
Pretty nerve-wracking.
Sure. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole idea is we want to hear insights from Philip because I'm in the full-time ministry, right? And Yamping's the NGO on the whole tension of how a Christian exists within the secular world and how they stay anchored in their faith. And it's not easy lah. It's not easy as it seems lah. So maybe I'll pass the time to Philip. Maybe I'll let Philip start off with the specifics. What is it that he does? And then I will poke further lah. Okay? So, okay, Philip, take it away. Yeah.
So I've been in sales. So I work in the sales line for the past maybe 15 years. So I've been in the marketplace for quite a while. Currently, I work for a developer. Okay, under the Massing Group, but I'm in industrial sales. So mainly my customers are for the general industries, in terms of the packaging line. So as I mentioned, I've been in sales for quite a fair bit, and I've been exposed to the marketplace in the world for quite a fair bit also.
Okay, time to spill the tea, right? When you say in sales, right, I'm guessing you have to have a KPI, and the reason you exist there is to bring in the money, am I right?
Yep.
Yeah, so my question is, do you find a tension or a struggle being a Christian at the same time being a sales manager?
I think not really.
Oh, okay.
Of course, there are some real struggles wherever we are, in the marketplace. Okay. But however, if we tie this up together, I think it is not so much of a big of a tension in between. But of course, viewing yourself as a Christian, definitely there are areas that we need to look into that disagrees with the world entirely. So I think in the marketplace, yes, there are real struggles that are involved. But I think that we being as Christians also, we have our own way to follow too also.
So maybe I word it this way then lah. I like how you recognize that the tension's not really there because you know where to segregate. I am then perhaps share more in on the challenges. Were there moments that you needed to draw the line within the workplace that would compromise your faith?
Yes, I think being in the sales industry in particular, or in the marketplace in general, I believe you are taught, you are expected to think in a certain way, as to how the world functions in general. Take for example for sales, right? Sales is a very success-driven industry. I believe today if you go online, just search any sales video, sales 101 or whatever sales, you'll be testimonies of success, people somehow bragging how well they have done, what are the struggles they overcame, and it's always about that KPI, you know. And so yeah, I think as in the marketplace, you're kind of caught in that rat race, you know, constantly trying to achieve and achieve better. You know, at least that is what the marketplace tells you, you know, because they want you to be performance driven. But in that sense, when we need to draw the line, we need to, personally, my conviction is we need to do our best in everything that we do. And once we know that line is there, then yeah, we just constantly push ourselves to want to do better. So I think that there is a very clear line that somehow, very often, you know, people in the marketplace tend to go a bit over in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, I like how you said it because I'm sure you have already reflected on this. But I think maybe for the younger people and the working people who are have to be driven by KPI. You know, I have friends telling me, Adriel, how to become a Christian when the company's sole purpose for you is to get them to make more money, for example, right? And you were talking about still wanting to be excellent, right? Personally, for you, two things. One, how do you draw the line that enough is enough? And then second, when your boss says, no, I think you can do better, you're going to bring in more sales. How do you go responding to these kind of things?
Very good question. Personally, I would draw back to the whole idea of, you know, which master you are serving. You know, if I'm serving God, then my focus should be solely on Him. And whatever the outcome is, really depends on the master I serve. So yes, being a Christian in the secular world will constantly demand you. It will demand your time, it will demand your energy, especially for younger Christians, because the marketplace needs your youth. They demand your time. And this will, if you are not careful about it, it will slowly snuff you out of it.
Okay.
You know, so in regards to that, I believe that you need to have very, very clear priorities of who you serve. And I think God can make use of secular leaders in our lives also to give us experience, to bring us there to where we never knew we could achieve also. So I think if we look at things in this way, yeah, then it won't sound so bad, right?
Yeah, I get it. It's almost like a missionary in some sorts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so before we go to the mission part, I will segue a bit then to, does this affect your time with church, or amidst all these demands of the secular world, how then do you still stay focused with your time in church? I'm sure they're all thinking of that too, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe reflecting back to my own personal journey with God, I think it's really, really difficult. You know, when you graduate, when you first come out to the society, you know, you want to see the world,
Yeah.
and the world has a lot to give, in some sense. So I think personally for myself, when I first came into the marketplace, I was traveling a lot. You know, I was flying almost 3 weeks in a month. You know, I still remember coming back to Singapore just to wash my clothes to catch for the next
Oh
flight.
my goodness, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that demands a lot of time and energy. And yes, church life was affected. You know, I would just go into the nearest church possible just to do my time.
To warm the benches.
Yeah, just warm the benches. I don't know how warm it became, but yeah, at that moment, my priorities weren't right. And yes, definitely my Christian life was at a point where I did struggle a bit. Yeah.
But how's it for you now? Do you manage to find the balance?
Yeah, I'm back compared to now, I'm much older lah.
Yeah.
So I think with age comes a bit of wisdom lah. You know.
Share with us that wisdom.
No, actually, personally, I feel that there is a choice in everything. Yeah. Back then, when I was young, and I believe a lot of people will struggle with this. You feel that you do not have a choice, you know, or you feel that the choice is all being made for you, you know. But as you grow, as you know your true focus, I think you will know that there's always a choice that you need to make, but with that will definitely come with sacrifices lah. You know, so reflecting back to when I started and where I am now, I think I've made my choice clear to balance out, at least try my best. I won't say it's perfect, but at least I try my best to try and balance out my priorities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to be able to be excellent at work, at the same time be present in church, not as a bench warmer, but someone serving, right? The word you used was sacrifice. So in the rule of economics, you choose the first thing, you don't get the other, right? So maybe for the listeners out there who are also in this similar industry, you said you choose which masters to serve. You only serve mammon/money, or you serve God, ma. Although in God's perspective, of course, it's not a sacrifice when you choose Him, but at least let's be real. How would you say, what were the sacrifices you make to achieve these priorities and decisions?
Okay, so let's just put the facts on the table. My job pays for the bills. It fits my family. Basically, it demands 8 to 5 kind of timeline throughout the day, you know, for 5 days. So that is pretty much set. But other than that, definitely work will demand from you certain things, and you constantly find yourself wanting to do things, to get things done, you know, past those time. So actually, the way I see it is, when I've already put God in place, you know, as my first priority, I think then the rest are secondary. So currently in my season, I see it as such. I have my job as a priority, I have the church as a priority, and I have a family as my priority. I will always be rushing for all of these priorities, you know, and I think that is still real even until today. But I try to do my best in everything that I do, and my convictions are clear. So one thing that I heard from my pastor, which I think is very, very useful, is that he mentioned something about if you set your priorities right, God will somehow arrange everything else, you know. But the human side of me wants to manage everything else instead of leaving it to God.
Yeah.
So, but I do challenge everyone to aim for that, you know, putting God first. Okay, I'm going to be there for service. I'm going to be there to serve in my ministries. Okay, if there's a meeting coming up soon, what next? Can I reschedule it? Is it a must? I have to be there. You know, but if a random customer says, "Hey, let's have dinner," I'm going to say, "Oh, okay, church is done." Then I think maybe your priorities are not that right. So I think it is a long thought process, and requires a lot of wisdom. How should we schedule our life? You know, maybe to our age group, you know, we constantly find ourselves not having enough time, not having enough sleep, you know, for that matter. But other than that, don't we spend a lot of time just procrastinating, having a lot of screen time? So that are areas that I think can be put to better use in that sense.
Okay, I think what I hear about you is, and I appreciate, is at the end of the day, you choose to prioritize God, the church, family, and work, because those are the three big circles in your time. And in the context of serving God, you're saying, and make the right sacrifices, which means you're gonna forgo. The challenge is still real, the struggle is still real. You're still holding on to God's grace, but you forgo a certain lifestyle, and if I'm hearing correctly, being real, you do sacrifice a little bit of yourself for the sake of these things. Yeah, be it rest and all that. And at the same time, you recognize that even after all that, you still have these pockets of time where it goes to waste because of the screen times.
No, actually, putting the whole point together, I think if we prioritize ourselves right, and if we prioritize ourselves right in God, I think the joy, there's a form of joy that comes to it. There's a form of peace that comes to it.
Oh, I like
You
that.
know,
Yeah.
even when I do not have a lot of time with my children, maybe after a long day of work, I might get 1 hour with them, but that 1 hour is very meaningful.
You make it count.
Yeah, I make it count. If I'm there serving at my ministry, I do my best. I show up. I try and be encouraging. When I am at work, I try and get my job done as much as I can. I try and do my best. I make sure everything is put in place rather than just procrastinating. Which is pretty common in the corporate space. So I think being clear on these priorities, there is a set of joy that and fulfillment that comes from it also. Yeah.
I think I'll add one more thing, personally for me as an encouragement to you. I think one thing I've been learning from you is like who you are is what you show up for. And I've been observing the things that you show up for, and the kind of choices that you make to show that, let me not carelessly say this in your mind. Yeah, I know where you're coming from. A very pastoral approach. Okay. Yeah. I'll put a full stop there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing. So now let's go back to the mission part, right? Now I'm imagining, and I think you can tell where I'm going with this already. This whole being called the secular world, where God says you are in this world but you are not of this world. I'm having this image of Daniel and his friends being sent to exile to serve a totally different culture, race, country, and all that. At the same time, still hold strong to their faith. Okay, sure. The mission is clear. Show God wherever you're at, etc. But specifically for you, do you have like a sort of a mission statement as a Christian in your workplace?
Oh, to be honest, I don't really have a mission statement for that particular matter. But I think as a Christian, we need to be reminded about the Great Commission, to make disciples of men. But being able to make disciples of men, are we really true disciples of Christ? And I think that is a struggle that if you are not in a very protected church setting, you will definitely be exposed, to the temptations of the world. I think as you brought up Daniel and friends, the book of Daniel itself, when they were exiled to Babylon, yes, it is true that they were brought up, they were actually trained to be to accustom to the cultures of pagan worship and things like that. So, but as we can see very clearly in Daniel and friends, their true focus on God never really left them. And I won't say I'm that noble to be able to eat vegetables for a month and still strive from that, or putting myself in a lion's den or a blazing furnace.
Yeah.
But what I get from that particular book, I think there is why they are so good at what they do at, because they know their God and they fear Him in that sense. So I think my I won't have a mission statement for that particular matter, but I think exposing ourselves into that marketplace we always need to be reminded about our Creator, in Ecclesiastes. And yes, we always need to have that fear of God in us. Yeah. Whatever decisions that we make, we need to think about this. Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. So you might not have a mission statement, but what I'm seeing, at least the mission that you are in your workplace, is to show that you know who your God is and to fear Him amidst all of the other secular things that will tell you what to fear. Fear your KPI, fear your boss and all that. There's no fear God. While obviously in today's day, there is no literal, like you work badly and your boss throws you in the burning furnace and the lion's den. From just now, it has been pretty okay, the kind of secular work that you go through. But I am sure they all are waiting for you to also explain that sometimes these kind of industries can get really, really dark. And I was hoping that you could share some of your experience to show the struggle and how you draw the line to show that I know God and I fear God, and hence ABC will not happen. Yeah.
Let me just make another point to in regards to the previous one. My upbringing and my experience in the working world, I feel that not a lot of people are given that privilege to be around good Christian people.
Okay.
So just let me paint you a picture. Today you join a youth ministry or a young adults ministry. They are all working class people, having their jobs. And they're all together, encouraging one another. But the moment they go back to their Monday jobs,
All alone.
they might be all alone
Yeah.
in that workplace. So being in sales myself, there is it is very lonely in that sense. And what you brought up just now, yes, it is a very dark place to be in. So maybe a little bit more about sales. Sales, if we talk in general in a Malaysia setting, there is a lot of influence of Buddhism in place. And sometimes it's just because culturally they're doing it. They don't really know what they're doing. But if you are in a company run by maybe a Chinese, these cultures will be absorbed into this this organization. So I remember back then, for companies, for smaller companies, normally they will have two major celebrations. So first definitely is Chinese New Year lah. Everybody's waiting for your bonus and things like that. The other one that is quite significant is also the Hungry Ghost Month. They will invite all their suppliers, their customers to come. They will set up a big altar. They will be burning incense, and they will be drinking, lots of drinking. There'll be lots of gambling too. So it is how I put it. It is a practice that has been absorbed into the local culture, just for the sake of having them. Of course, I do not deny some of them really take it very seriously. Especially for business owners who want to grow their business or maybe get favor in terms of the blessings. So yeah, but that would somehow chain effect to its employees. I still remember back in those days when there's prayer day, everyone will come out. Everyone will come out. The boss will gather us, and then we will be required to hold a joystick. And so that has been pretty common for us. Or during, like I mentioned, Hungry Ghost Month, we will need to be present, and then they will naturally just hand you a joystick. Oh yeah, you please go ahead and do your duties.
So do you do them?
Oh no.
So you hold on to it?
Since day one, I don't really hold it. I don't know what made me reject. So I have been very blessed in that sense. I've always managed to dodge the bullet. But having said that, there's also some wisdom to it, lah. When like I did mention before, right? When you are young, you feel that you don't have much choices. So when the joystick is handed to you, then that whole thought process comes in. Do I not? What harm does it bring me? What kind of testimony am I showing? Right?
Yeah.
These questions just flash in right away. You know?
Yeah.
So the most direct reflex that I can give is, nope, sorry, I'm a Christian.
Okay.
And yeah, the feedback from that is a lot of awkwardness. People will be like, oh, Christian, you know?
Yeah.
But after a while, I believe my face became thicker. And so I would learn how to reject respectfully. You know, as I progress along, I still remember that whenever I go to these kind of functions, I will bring someone along with me. You know, so my position is, as I respect the business owners, I will definitely be there. You know, I'll be in front of the altar, but sorry, there is where it ends.
I show up my respect,
Yeah.
but I will not bow down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they clearly know that, oh, okay, at least he's putting an effort there.
Yeah.
And let's not poke further anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think as time goes along, when we think about things, definitely we know how to dodge the bullet to a certain extent. And I think the important part to take away is that we need to reject it respectfully also. Because I feel that in the marketplace, when we are trying to show ourselves as good Christians, I don't think we will put ourselves in a good position of having a good testimony if we are just like, oh, no, my Christianity is so much better than we are like above you guys, you know?
Right.
So I think that demands a lot of respect in that sense, yeah.
Wow. And so drawing back from the Daniel example, right? These are the examples by which, you know, like Daniel's friend would choose not to bow down to their idols. Daniel would choose to pray even when the rule was do not pray. So these are things that you draw the line and say no to. But there's also moments when I'm sure you would have to not say yes to. Yeah, it's a tricky word. So it's one thing to reject, the other one is to indulge, right? So I'm reminded of how at the start Daniel was and the other group was supposed to be fed with all the best food and live out this life, and Daniel says, no, I'm just going to eat vegetables. Now, I'm thinking there are moments when there's this idea where your bosses will say, you know, Philip, no matter what, do what you have to do to get this client. And in their head, there are certain things that they're expecting you to do to give you to get the client, right? I was hoping you could share a bit more about that other side of darkness as well, and what are some ways that these listeners they can go about it?
Sure.
If you lay him down, God ends here.
Okay, since we're going to the dark places, right? I think in sales, there, at least the way I was taught, you know, I was taught to so-called capture a deal, you know, is we focus a lot on entertainment, you know, and it is part of the process, as it is, whereby you need to either bring them out for a drink. They always say it's a drink, but it ends up buckets full of it, you know. Or you need to go to brothels, etc. And so these are places not to seal the deal, but it is to get the people prepared. You know, that is their form of bonding the relationship.
Yeah, interesting.
You know?
Yeah.
And interestingly, these are places suitable for that. You know, and I think it is because they want the customers to be entertained to the maximum, you know, to the max, and that involves their indulgences, you know. So in my early days, there are a lot of instances where I'll be, you know, 3 days in a week in a pub, in a bar, you know, pretty wasted, you know, and or you might be in Thailand, you know, in a brothel somewhere. So when you are put in those places. You know, you can't just say, "Oh, sorry, I'm busy tonight." You know, that will cause a scene. That really will cause a scene. And so yeah, it would be a lie to say I haven't been to these places. But back to focusing on God in that sense. I think personally for me, I have a very simple set of rules that I just won't cross. You know, and I think it's perfectly shown in Daniel and Friends. Like there is an ultimatum. So back then, my ultimatum for me was no drugs and no sex. You know, I think my parents had brought me up well with that very simple phrase. You know, the body is the temple of your Holy Spirit.
Praise God. Yeah.
Or back then, I didn't know what it meant. You know, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a God kind of living in me. So let's not piss that God off. You know.
Okay.
But any form of contact in that sense is God's going to be pissed. You know. So with that very simplistic fear, it helped me dodge a lot of bullets lah. You know. So in that sense, when I'm there, I'm very clear on what are things that I can do and what things I cannot do. You know. I would be honest to say that it is not always possible to be like Joseph, you can just flee. You know.
Sometimes you
Yes.
have to stay there.
Yes, and there is a lot of wisdom needed how you are going to manage the situation. You know, when people are pushing you towards it, you know, people will just come up to you. It's only one time. You just need to go through that first time, you know. But how can you stay firm on your no? I think that is the important bit that we really need to depend on God's mercy in that sense. So being in those places that I've been to, I'm not proud of it at all. But there is a way that we can prevent it from happening. So what I normally do is if I'm entertaining, I'm drinking, I'll just put it up front that I can't drink much, you know. I'll still drink and my face will be all red and stuff, but I know that the benchmark is I cannot get drunk.
Yeah.
You know, to the point where I lose control of myself, I start puking and I'll create a scene. So I make it very clear to the people I'm entertaining. I'll be drinking alongside with you, but please go ahead.
Yeah.
And you will receive so much bashing for that, you know. Oh, I cannot lie, you must lose yourself and things like that. But I make myself very clear. This is as far as I go.
Yeah.
If this takes you, you know, if this causes me to lose any interest in you, or I might not be able to seal the deal for that, then I don't think my deal should just be a result of the bill that I paid, you know, or my level of drunkenness.
Yeah.
So, and when we put forth this very clearly to the other party, they somehow they learn to respect also. You know, not everybody will be able to take all that kind of constant pushing, because normally this doesn't happen one-to-one. Imagine a whole group of people start to do that to you, you know. So it requires a lot of courage, but at the same time, it is just a very stubborn form of nope, I'm done, you know. Similarly, when I'm at places where women are involved, I'll normally just tip them and say, okay, this is I know you need the business, I need you need the money, and I need you to stay away from me, you know. So okay, if money solves the problem, then it's not a problem, you know. And hence we make it very, very clear to begin with. And yeah, and that really helps. And it did really help me to dodge that bullet back then.
Yeah, and I can imagine, especially for the girls, that there are KPIs to make sure that you are entertained, so they cannot leave the room early.
Yes.
So you have to tip them, stay there, wait for the time's up, and then kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think that that is some good time to build some conversations. I heard a lot of interesting stories. You can smell that there are a lot of lies involved, but yeah, it's good to talk it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm appreciating you sharing these details because I've had friends who had to do the same things that you did. And one of their testimonies was like, thank God when I was supposed to bring them out to these kind of things, COVID hit. And although COVID was like a bad season, it was a blessing in his work. Clients still had to do what they needed to do. So that's one. The other one is, in the industrial working construction site, it's so dark that this fellow Christian says, I wish God can just take me home. Good life, good money, but he wants to be gone. So I can imagine how this can be an encouragement of holding firm lah. And so I think we've come towards the end. And I think hearing you, one of the many things is, what are some things, if like this is like your final few statements before you're going to retire and leave this world, whatever, right? And you imagine this bunch of young Phillips, 20 to 30 years old, going through the struggles which you have shared, and they want to have a little pick-me-up so that they don't have to make these mistakes. What are some things that you want to encourage them and remind them to hold firmly in? Yeah.
Wow. Imagining, of course, I hope they are not little Phillips that need to go through that. But yeah, thinking about it, if today my son is going through the same thing, or a younger Christian is going through the same thing, personally, I would say, experience it, go through it, but make sure your convictions are very clear. At different stages of your life, God will speak to you differently, But what I would advise is, to the younger people out there, is always know that His mercies are new every morning. And God is always there, even when you think He's not there. Because in this working world, very often that you will feel that God is not there. And but He is always there, and He's always able to deliver us. So in that sense, I think one important thing that I wish I had back then was a group of Christians that could encourage me, and I think that the environment is really, really important. If you get a 5-day secular and you get 1-2 days maybe in a church, that would greatly help you to balance out rather than none. And I believe a lot of young Christians are struggling from that. So be constantly thinking of your relationship with God, and also how can you be encouraging one another. I believe this work both ways lah. It is going to be difficult when you are exposed to all these temptations and all these different priorities. But one thing is for sure is that there's always a choice. Just that you might not see it in this time. But as you look back, as you reflect back, when you get better at what you do, then you need to ask yourself, does this really matter? So I think the Holy Spirit grants us this portion of wisdom to really look back. When as you get better at what you're doing, or this is I still need to do better in all these wrong things, all these secondary things to do well my job. At the end of the day, we are just working for that dollar bill. Yeah, and the dollar bill can change you. So don't let that dollar bill be your master in that sense. So yeah, that will be my encouragement to the younger Phillips out there.
Yeah, thank you so much, because give me the privilege to add on. I feel like when you shared that, right, it felt like Psalms 23 turned into a prayer. And my other message to the younger Phillips or Edros or whoever is, can you come to a point where David is able to say, even though I walk through the valley of shadow and death, the darkest place, I will fear no evil because you're with me. or the confidence to say that in the presence of my enemies, you lay a table before me. And you know, to really see God come through even in those darker spirits lah. Yeah. So thank you once again, Philip, for giving your time with us as the number one fan, now the number one guest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's called a night pangkat already. Yeah, but you know, I guess that's it for now.
This is the Teo-logy podcast.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye.